All right, here's part two. Just going to start off with a little bit of an addendum here of items I might have missed. So if the spotting panel is back to being dockable, or it's like in the right-hand side panel. But if you did prefer having it floating, it's under the edit menu and pop out the spotting panel. And there it is. And then you can put that wherever you want. And if you want to redock it, you just close it and it will go in. And it'll remember that state as well. The time in and out here, it's very much modeled after Pro Tools in that you can just start typing things. So it'll go like 00, 01, 00. That'll go like 1 second into the sound file. You can also like tab between them, shift tab to go back and forth. You can use the left and right arrow keys, the up and down, or you like to do that. If you're using something which has a timestamp, I'll just swap this to a frame rate. Let's just go 24 frame, whatever. So this has a start time of 2 minutes, 57 seconds and 20 frames. So if I want to go to 2 minutes, 58, I can do that. And then we'll set our out point to be that. And that will do that. Although that seems to be a bit of a bug. What happened there? How about that? There we go. So yeah, that's the in and out point. The mini tool down here allows you to get to some stuff that you might want to toggle on and off very quickly and just see. So it's just a click away. So your player selection link, that allows you to select files in here and see the metadata, but not until you double click will it update the actual player section there. I tend to keep that linked. That's just the way I like to work. What else we got here? Oh yeah, so as you're coming across things, you might go, Axel. I could option click on his name and that would just bring back all of Axel's sounds. But I can also right click on designer and say, bind the same designer in the new tab. So this will keep my current results, but in another tab now, I've got just Axel sounds. And then I can just go back and forth. Each tab has its own history as well. So if I go back to Axel, I'm just going to lock him. So everything I do is now just going to bring back Axel sounds, and we'll do a search for metal, and then we'll do a search for massive, and maybe impact. Okay. And then over here now we'll do a search for weapon. We'll do a search for closing, whatever. And now if I go back to boom, or this one with Axel, you can see that I can go backwards, massive, metal, back to the original, or go forward. And in this one, go back, goes to weapon, goes to the original, and forward. So yeah, each one has its own forward and backward history, which I think is pretty cool. Under playlists, you've got, for example, Axel sounds. So why don't I just clear everything out first? Just do this. So do it again. So when you click on playlist, it's now all the sounds that I had added to that playlist gets restored, and it's by default locked. So if I wanted to bring back creatures, there's all the creatures. And these are sounds that I've manually found, like by doing this, and then dragged them onto the playlist to add them. These would be duplicates, so they just wouldn't get added in this case. Yeah, so if you have playlists, when you click on them, it'll be locked, and then you can instantly just do find all, and it will only be things that are in that playlist. Save searches, kind of the same thing. All I wanted to show was that when you save a search, it's state, whether it's locked, whether it's excluded, whether it's bypassed in this case, and I'll probably talk about that in a second. All of that gets saved with the current search state. Yeah. So let's go back to here and let's find cinematic hits. There we go. I'll just lock this. Another thing you can do now is do advanced searches. You can do multiple of them. Used to be that, if I did a search for distant, okay, well, there's my distant description in the library cinematic hits. And now if I wanted to do, say, hit, it's going to replace that description, whatever I had before, with that new one. But what I can do now is I just hit back. If I lock it, now when I do another search on description, it will chain them together. So now I've got description is hit and or distant. I mean, I could have done all of that and just like matching any. I could have gone description contains hit, description contains distant, and it would have done one facet. But this way, when I have them as multiple, I can do things like right click and say bypass. So now I've got hit inside library construction kit. And if I just want to see all my hit, I can bypass this one as well. There's all my hit sounds. I mean, I could have just cleared the pill, but this allows me to quickly put it back on if I wanted to. So there we go. Okay, so for server users now, things have been sped up quite a bit. I know there's a lot of people that are continuing to work from home. So a lot of time was spent trying to optimize and cache things. So here's old V5 Pro. And if I do a search for like dog, take a little while. And then as I scroll, you can see it's really janky. Now there was always this little option here, since it comes back to life, to lazy load the server DB content. So let's do that. We'll do a search for dog again. So it comes back. And then if I start scrolling, you can see it's kind of updating in the background there. And that's nice, but I didn't like that flashing, especially when you've like lots of results. So if I bring back A and start going through, you're like, oh, that's a lot of flashing. That's going to trigger something. So now if I go to the same database and do the same search for dog, you can see it's very fast. There's A and there's no flashies. I can do this. So that'll be a big improvement for server users. And server users can also have multiple tabs as well. So you can have tabs for your favorite databases. So let's say that you had a commercial library like I have here, and then maybe you had some show libraries, just open each one in its own separate tab. Under layout, save the tab state, and then auto restore tabs on the server connection. And that way, when you authenticate and after you've launched, you'll get all of your databases. And then instead of having to pick from here, you can just tab to whichever one you want. And of course, you can search across multiple as well with server databases just by what I showed in the previous video. All right, Radium's next.